Big news out of America when it comes to the automotive world, and I am not exaggerating when I say big news. What could it be? Well, could it be the return of the fabled and legendary HEMI V8 engine into not just the Dodge Ram, but also, well, one of the favorite top 3 muscle cars of recent times? Could this be true? Wow. Let me tell you everything right after this.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
Okay, so this might sound like a rumor, and to some extent it could be, but it's being reported widely, and it's being reported especially by 2 of the most prestigious and well-known and respected magazines in America, the car magazines in America, and that is of course MotorTrend and Car and Driver. And these 2 magazines are well plugged in to the automotive industry there. So if anybody knows what's going on, or if anybody's been given some leaked information or whatever, it would be these publications, or certainly the people that work with them or work on them. So the story is, well, before we get into the story actually, V8s, love them. And it's one of the things, I've said this before in several videos, I'll say it again, since I moved back here from Dubai, where I was out there between 2006 to 2019, and one of the absolute pleasures of being out there was the opportunity to review and drive lots of muscle cars, lots of V8s and stuff like that. And there's no doubt that amongst my favorite, of course the Mustang, but also the Camaro, of course, but also especially the Dodge Charger, the Dodge Challenger. And especially the Challenger, because not only because of that evocative design, that retro design that they had, but just the old school feel of the vehicle. It really did feel like, whereas the Camaro and the Mustang felt relatively sophisticated, the Dodge Challenger felt like a brand new car that had simply time warped from the 70s. That's what it felt like. But it was all the better for it, And it's one of my biggest laments moving back to here is not only not having access to these sort of cars anymore, but also the fact that they were going out of fashion supposedly, and quickly. And of course recent legislation and recent things that have been happening with the transition to EV, and the fact that Stellantis basically absorbed Dodge, Chrysler, Ram. Stellantis, of course, being that giant umbrella corporation that includes, it's very European centric, let's be honest, and it includes brands like Fiat, Alfa Romeo, Vauxhall, Citroën, Peugeot. So these are not traditionally V8 brands. So it was understandable that they weren't very keen to keep these on. However, everybody, certainly in America, and I think in other markets also where these cars are very popular, like the Middle East, could see that there's a huge amount of demand, appreciation and affection for these cars. So things like the Dodge Charger and Dodge Challenger, one of the things in the Middle East that happened with the Charger in particular was that it was actually represented great value for money. And it's a 4-door saloon, so it was actually really practical, really spacious. And also the Chrysler 300C, but that was also discontinued completely. It was very popular because they were good value for money, lots of metal, lots of space, lots of comfort, easy to drive, and boy, powerful, loud, crazy fun. Now obviously they were all discontinued, they were all killed off a couple of years ago. And then of course a new Dodge Charger was announced. But the new Dodge Charger was going to be electric, and it is electric actually. It has been launched, it is in the market. And actually a really good looking car, to be honest. And they've done crazy stuff, like they've got this, I can't remember the term for it, some crazy sound, because they come up with great names, Dodge. It was come up with crazy, was it Fratzoid Chamber, something like that sound system, but basically they were replicating the sound of a HEMI V8, even though it didn't have one. And lots of people were like, but actually I'd quite like to give it a go. The kid in me wants to give it a go. But also I like the way it looks. But the sad state of affairs was that, of course, the HEMI V8 was dead, killed off, and even from the trucks, I was very surprised to learn that even the latest Ram truck available in the UAE when I went there recently is not a V8 anymore. Oh my God, that's a big truck, needs a V8. But anyway, they had the Well, there's a new group of engines that the Chrysler Stellantis group and Chrysler group has worked on, which is called the Hurricane series. Again, great names. And it's an inline 6-cylinder. So I think that was the engine that was going into these things. I'm not sure if it was that one. I think it was probably that one that was going to go into the Dodge. So in addition to the EV, which is already on sale, the Dodge Charger, next year there's also going to be a 6-cylinder. And I think what's happened actually in the market over there is that a lot of people that like the shape, like the look of the car, have actually withheld their orders because they thought, okay, well, we'll wait for the petrol version. I think we're going to see a little bit of history repeating, because according to these rumors, the V8 is coming back. Now, this is not official, this has not been announced, but Stellantis is reportedly planning to restart production of its HEMI V8 engines in August 2025 at the Dundee engine plant in Michigan. This move includes the 5.7 litre and 6.4 litre variants of the HEMI V8, but also the 6.2 litre that was in the Hellcat. Oh, love the Hellcat Demon, oh gosh. But anything SRT is awesome. So these were actually previously produced in Mexico. But obviously, with everything that's been going on with the shenanigans regarding the tariffs and the trade policies, so obviously, but also I think that plant is making the Hurricane series engine, so that's already been tooled, set up for that. So they moved that. So they're moving it to Michigan, to Detroit. I guess it makes sense, you know, muscle car back in Detroit, Motor City. Now, there's no doubt that a lot of this has got to do, with the fact that they are not having any sales. They have seen, even with the Ram truck, they're seeing the sales plummet. And this has been a big thing for them. It's a big problem for them because trucks, of course, are the big sellers in the American market. Number one selling car there is, of course, the Ford F-150. And the Ram truck, actually, I think is a great truck. I really like it. And that's also very important for them. Sound is from a dump truck there. Anyway, or rubbish truck, as we call them here. So that's one line of thinking. The other line of thinking, of course, is the fact that with the new presidency, with new president there, with Donald Trump being anti-EV, and they think, I guess the manufacturers are feeling like, oh, okay, there's a little bit more leeway, you know, because again, they're still going to come up against legislations and problems like that. But I guess they're hoping that these are going to be relaxed and eased off, and that they will be able to sell these vehicles. Hey, before I carry on, make sure that you have hit like, and don't forget to share and subscribe. By the way, help out my channel by supporting me on Patreon and Ko-fi, or by taking out a subscription right here on YouTube. Or better still, buy my books. I've got 3 of them out now. There's 2 of them. Those are fiction. One is a novel. It's the novel that every petrolhead should read. It's called the Ulysses Files. It's about the war on motorists. And the other one is a collection of my short stories from over 2 decades. Everything from science fiction to cars to the state of humanity. And then this is my latest book. This is basically me putting my 35 years of experience and knowledge doing what I do into a book to help other people get into this game. So if you've ever thought about being a content creator, a journalist, or an influencer to do with cars, you need to get this book. It's out now on Amazon. The decision follows the return of Tim Kuniskis, if I pronounce that correctly, as the Ram CEO. He's believed to be more supportive of V8 engines than the former CEO, who was Carlos Tavares. So the Dodge Charger, so that was the Ram, the Dodge Charger is expected to see the return of the HEMI V8. Now what they're talking about, it's a speculation again, this is all speculation, but they're talking about probably end of next year, so late 2026 is when you might actually see them, if this is actually happening. And it will complement, so the V8 will come back into the Charger, and they reckon it will come alongside the electric version, which of course is there, it exists, is going to carry on. There's going to be, you know, interestingly, I don't know if I can find it. If I can find it, I'll put a link down in the description. But Dodge put an entire, it wasn't just an ad, but it was like a mini movie where they actually, in the movie, they actually go back in time to talk to the Dodge brothers to try and justify to them why they're going electric. It's a fascinating, you know, self-aware, almost self-effacing, but almost kind of like trying to justify to their fans what they're doing, and to their founders what they were doing. So it was interesting anyway. But you could see this is a company, and this is the thing, you get companies like Dodge, and when Chevrolet was making the Camaro and Ford the Mustang, Ford's still making the Mustang, and they've vowed to continue making it, which is fantastic. but there's a kind of confidence with the people and the engineers and the designers that work on those cars, because they know what they're about and they're confident about it and they're sure about it, and they know that people are going to love them. They're like, we know what we're doing. We know this is going to be a great car. We know it's going to sell. We know people are going to love it. The trouble with the Dodge EV that came out, and with videos like that came out, they're a clear indication of a lack of confidence in the company. There's a company trying to go, look, we had to do it, guys. We've had our arms twisted, and I know you don't like it, but we've had to do it. So like, come along, it's that sort of thing. But anyway, back to the story. So they're expected to see the return of those cars, those engines rather, in the Dodge Charger. Allegedly, the rumors are that the Dodge engineers are now working hard, feverishly even, to try and figure out how to shoehorn those big V8s back into the new Dodge Charger, which of course was designed to accommodate EV powertrains and 6-cylinder powertrain. So the Ram had transitioned to 6-cylinder, as I told you, for this model year 2025, and so that's going to go back to 5.7 litre, 6.4 litre HEMI V8s. I think there's another V8 there as well for the bigger one, but also they'll put the V8 back into the high performance TRX 1500 RAM as well, which is the proper thing to do, the right and proper thing to do. So it looks like that this is a shift across Stellantis brands to get back to offering a more diverse range of powertrains, and it's to be honest, whatever you may think of the policies, whatever you may think of the legislation, you've got to do the right thing by the car, the right thing by the brand. And there are certain cars and there are certain brands that you go, well, that's what it needs to be. If you have a muscle car, it needs to be a V8. It needs to be a V8. It's up to the engineers and the research R&D team and all the rest of them to try and make that as efficient and clean as possible. Sure, but it's got to be a V8. Remember back even in the 70s when they had restrictions on these engines, and you had these massive big capacity V8s and Camaros and Trans Ams and whatnot, and they produced barely, not even 200 horsepower, and that was because they were so constricted. But they still realized that we still got to put a V8 in there. So yeah, of course, there were 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders and what have you, but that's the essence of the car. So this is, I think it's a really weird thing. I want to say this is really good news. I'm not sure that this is good news, because if you think about what is happening in the world, and you think about the fact that a certain presidency and a certain set of tariffs is sort of bringing these things into effect, so this is maybe not the natural order of things. Some would argue that it is, and it should have been, and it was, and it should have remained. But the way things are going currently, with global transition to electric cars. But having said that, with a company like Dodge, since they do have the Dodge Charger EV, if they can then also offer V8s, then it's only adding to the choice, right? And I think that's only going to be a good thing. Plus, hopefully, maybe, with if they come up with some kind of trade deal with America, maybe we might start seeing more of these vehicles over here, which would be cool. Because you know what? Between you and me, I can't wait to get my hands on the HEMI V8 again. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments on this one. I'm sure that you will do, and I look forward to reading them, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Cry havoc, and let's let the dogs of war. Shout out time, guys. Thank you so much. Hey, if you enjoy my content, why not get involved? Buy me a coffee. You can do that at either of these links. Or if you're watching on YouTube, buy me a thanks or take out a membership. It all helps. It really does.